The vastness of space stretched endlessly, a canvas of black dotted with pinpricks of distant stars. Among them, the starship Aurora glided silently, its engines humming with a quiet, steady rhythm. The human crew aboard had seen many wonders across the galaxies, but nothing had prepared them for the sight that now appeared on their sensors. Floating in a remote nebula, partially obscured by swirling clouds of cosmic dust, was a ship unlike any they had ever encountered. It was enormous, far larger than any human vessel, with angular hull plating that shimmered in the faint light of the nebula. Its surface was scarred with deep gouges, as if countless battles had left their mark on it. The strange craft seemed frozen in time, drifting in space without a hint of life aboard. Yet the readings from their scanners were perplexing. The ship's weapons systems were active, pointing outward as though defending against some invisible foe. Captain Alara stood at the bridge, her eyes locked on the display that showed the alien vessel in striking detail. Her jaw tightened. "No crew?" she asked, her voice betraying a mix of curiosity and unease. Lieutenant Wren shook his head, his fingers dancing across the control panel. "Sensors show no life signs. Nothing. But the weapons, they're online. It's like the ship is waiting for something, or someone," Alara said, her mind racing. She leaned forward, squinting at the readings. Why would a ship remain on high alert for centuries? After its crew is gone, the silence that followed was heavy. The crew of the Aurora had faced many dangers in their time, from rogue AI to asteroid storms, but something about this derelict vessel was different. It carried a sense of history, of conflict and loss, that made the air on the bridge feel colder, heavier. "Shall we investigate?" Wren asked. There was an excitement in his voice, one that Alara recognized well. Curiosity was a double-edged sword, but it was the trait that had taken humanity to the stars. Alara considered the question carefully. "Yes, but cautiously. I want full shields, and no one goes alone. We do this by the book. We dock, scan, and stay alert." "Understood?" The crew nodded, and the Aurora began a slow approach. Its engines adjusted to a gentle drift as they neared the alien warship. The closer they got, the more details emerged. Strange symbols were etched into the hull, patterns that seemed almost decorative, yet hinted at function. There were turrets positioned along the ship's flanks, their barrels massive and imposing. The sight made some crew members uneasy. They had faced enemies in battle, but this felt different. This was not a warship in use, it was a warship preserved in time, as if it had been left behind by an extinct civilization. "Captain," said Dr. Leora, the ship's xenotechnologist, "the energy readings are unusual. The weapons are powered, but there is no fuel source that we can detect. It's as if the ship draws energy from the nebula itself." Alara frowned. "So it doesn't need a crew, and it doesn't need fuel. It's self-sufficient and armed. That is unsettling." Wren's voice broke the tension. "Well, we can't just float here staring at it. We either dock or leave." Alara took a deep breath. "We dock, but everyone stays alert. Remember, the ship may not have a crew, but that doesn't mean it's harmless." The docking procedure was tense. The Aurora's automated systems matched the derelict's docking ports, and a magnetic clamp latched the two ships together. The airlock hissed as it equalized pressure, and a team of 4 suited crew members prepared to board. They moved in formation, weapons ready, scanning every shadow as they entered the alien vessel. The interior was dark, metallic, and cold. Lights flickered sporadically, casting long shadows across corridors lined with alien inscriptions and strange machinery. The air smelled faintly metallic, as if time itself had settled onto the surfaces. The crew moved cautiously, their footsteps echoing. Dr. Leora examined one of the panels along the wall. "These markings, they aren't just decoration. They're part of the control interface. Whoever built this ship integrated language and technology in ways I don't fully understand yet." Wren's comm crackled. "Captain, sensors are showing weapon turrets rotating." No one's inside the control room, but they're active. They're tracking us. Alara's heart skipped. How is that possible? There's no AI code we can detect, nothing controlling them. Dr. Leora shook her head. It's like the ship itself remembers its mission. It anticipates threats the way its crew once did. The team pressed forward, entering a large chamber at the ship's core. Here, the alien technology was most advanced, pulsating with energy and complex patterns. Holographic images flickered to life, showing star maps, fleets of alien ships, and battle formations. The humans could feel the presence of a civilization long gone. Echoing through the technology, suddenly, an alarm sounded, a deep, resonant tone that vibrated through the floor. Turrets along the walls swiveled and aimed at the humans' positions. Back to the airlock. Now, Alara ordered. The team retreated, dodging blasts that ripped through metal walls and sparked dangerously close. The derelict ship's targeting system was precise, almost intelligent. It anticipated their moves and adjusted with alarming accuracy. Yet the humans were relentless. They used their knowledge of physics, angles, and unpredictability to evade the fire. One crew member, Engineer Talon, used a makeshift EMP device to temporarily disrupt the turret's guidance systems, giving the team a chance to escape. As they returned to the Aurora, panting and covered in soot, Alara studied the alien warship. It drifted silently, its cannons now slowly returning to a dormant state. The team had survived, but the experience left a lasting impression. Captain, Dr. Leora said, "This ship, it's more than a machine. It's a remnant of a civilization that fought endlessly, maybe even to extinction. And yet it still defends, as if the crew were alive." Alara's gaze hardened. "Then we have to understand it. If humanity is to survive in this galaxy, we cannot ignore the lessons of the past, even from the dead. This vessel is a warning and a challenge, and I intend to see both." Back on the Aurora, the crew gathered in the observation deck, staring at the ancient warship as it floated in the nebula. The nebula's gases glowed around it, painting the ship in surreal colors. It seemed alive in a way that defied logic. The humans were silent, each lost in thought about the power of ingenuity, the dangers of hubris, and the resilience of life, even when life was long gone. Captain Alara stood apart, her mind racing with possibilities. "We've only seen the beginning," she whispered to herself. "This ship, this technology, it could change everything, but only if we survive long enough to learn from it." The Aurora's engines purred, ready for action, as the crew prepared for the next steps. The ancient vessel remained before them, silent but vigilant, a ghost of a civilization that refused to be forgotten. The humans would have to face it again. But for now, they had survived the first encounter. They had glimpsed the past, and the future was waiting. In the vast emptiness of space, humanity had once again proven something vital. Adaptability, courage, and ingenuity could stand against even the most relentless forces. And as the stars wheeled overhead, the Aurora and its crew began to plan. They would return, and when they did, they would not be unprepared. The ancient vessel may have been a ghost, but it was not invincible. The tension on the Aurora remained thick long after the away team had returned from the massive alien warship. Every crew member could still feel the echo of the turret blasts, the vibration of alarms, and the strange pulse of alien energy that had seemed to react to their very presence. The ship had no living crew, yet the sense of being watched had been overwhelming. Captain Alara found it difficult to shake the feeling even hours later. It stayed with her like a shadow. The crew gathered in the main briefing room. The room hummed softly with the ship's environmental systems, but no one spoke at first. A quiet uneasiness spread across the table. Ren tapped his fingers nervously, while Dr. Leora stared at her notes, her brow furrowed in deep thought. Engineer Talon leaned back with arms folded, eyes fixed on the blinking star map, showing the ancient vessel's position beside them. Alara finally broke the silence with a steady voice. "We all saw how the ship reacted. It wasn't random. It wasn't malfunctioning. It was reacting to us." Ren nodded quickly. It aimed right at us, Captain. And when we moved, it adapted. That's not just automated defense. That's something smarter. Talon rubbed his forehead. It's old tech, Captain. Really old. But somehow still learning. It's like trying to fight a ghost that still thinks it's alive. Dr. Leora tapped her datapad. I've been analyzing the data from our scans. Whatever controls that ship is built in layers. It's not one single AI. It's a network, thousands of small systems working together. They share information instantly. That's why it reacts so fast. And here's something even more interesting. She paused, watching everyone lean forward. Some of those systems were dormant when we arrived. But when we stepped in, they woke up. That's impossible, Ren whispered. How can a machine know we are alive if it has no crew and no biological scanners? Leora shook her head. It senses movement, energy patterns, heat changes, sound waves, anything. It pieces everything together. But here's the part that really scares me. When the turrets fired, the patterns changed again. It learned from how we dodged. The next shots were closer, more accurate. A heavy silence fell over the room again. Alara looked at her officers with determination. We need to understand what this ship is doing and why. We need to know how it still functions without anyone alive. And most important, we need to know whether it will attack us again if we approach. Ren exhaled deeply. Captain, it already sees us as intruders. If we go back in, we should expect the worst. Alara gave a small yet firm nod. Which is exactly why we need to go back. No one answered at first. The thought of stepping into that strange, cold metal maze again made their hearts pound. But they all knew one thing. Curiosity was the fuel of exploration, and humans had never turned away from the unknown. She stood up. Rest. Prepare. We go back tomorrow. Dismissed. The crew went about their tasks, but sleep didn't come easily that night. The nebula outside shimmered like a living cloud, its gases drifting around both ships like fog, and the alien vessel floated silently. Watching. Waiting. The next day arrived quietly. The crew felt a mixture of fear and excitement. They suited up again, checking equipment twice. Then a third time, the airlock door hissed open, and the away team stepped inside. This time the team consisted of Alara, Leora, Talon, and Ren. They wanted to move quickly and with precision. As they crossed into the ancient vessel, the cold metal air hit them again. The ship's lighting flickered faintly, creating long shadows that danced across the walls. The sound of their footsteps echoed as before, but something felt different. The air felt heavier, as though the ship had awakened further since their last visit. This time, they brought portable jammers and shield generators. They planted them carefully along the corridor. Each device emitted a low hum that distorted the ship's sensors. Alara hoped it would confuse the defenses long enough for them to reach the central chamber safely. Ren checked his scanner. So far, so good. No turret movement yet. Leora walked beside him, studying the inscriptions on the walls. These markings, they're old, but they tell a story. A story of battles. This ship was once in the center of a war, possibly a massive one. The way these patterns are carved suggests pride, honor, maybe even fear. Talon stopped at a panel. Wait. Look at this. He brushed dust away from a cracked display screen. Ancient symbols lit up faintly. This was a status screen. It shows crew locations. He paused, slowly reading the faded data. They're all marked as inactive. Every single one. Inactive meaning dead, Ren said quietly. Alara placed a hand on the panel. The thought of an entire crew losing their lives in battle, leaving only the ship behind, filled her with a strange sadness. Let's move. They continued deeper until they reached a large intersection. Suddenly, the lights flickered violently. A low hum vibrated through the floor. Talon's scanner beeped urgently. The ship knows we're back. Power levels are rising all over the place. Panels along the walls snapped open as turret barrels slid out, turning toward the humans. "Shields!" Alara shouted. Portable shields went up with a flash of blue light. The first turret blast hit the barrier, sending sparks flying. The humans staggered back but held their ground. "Move," Alara commanded. They dashed down the corridor while turrets fired from behind and above. The shield generators struggled, their energy meters dropping quickly. The humans ducked and weaved, taking turns covering each other. Talon tossed another jammer behind them, causing several turrets to glitch and fire randomly into the walls. They reached the central chamber again, breathing heavily. Leora immediately approached a crystalline device floating in the center. "This is the heart of the ship. It's generating power and in some way guiding the systems." Alara joined her. "Can we shut it down? It's risky. This ship's energy network is more complicated than anything we've seen. Pull the wrong thing and the whole ship might explode." Talon stepped closer, studying the structure. "Or it might release even more systems we don't know about." Ren scanned it carefully. "Wait." His eyes widened. "This thing, it's reacting to our heartbeat patterns." Alara froze. "Explain." Ren held his scanner up so she could see. "These pulses here, they match our biological rhythms. The ship is studying us. It reads us like data. It's trying to understand how we move, how we react, how we survive." Leora clenched her jaw. "It sees us the same way its makers saw their enemies." A deep vibration echoed through the chamber. Holographic displays flickered to life around the humans. Images of enormous alien fleets filled the air, ships shaped like blades, shields stretching like shimmering domes, weapons firing beams that tore through stars. The humans stared at the scenes, awed and shaken. Leora whispered, "This is a recording of battles. Their final war." The hologram shifted to show the alien ship they stood inside, surrounded by enemy fire. Its crew, visible in ghostly outlines, worked frantically at consoles. Then, a massive blast hit the vessel. The figures collapsed. Lights dimmed. Systems went dark, except for the central core. Talon swallowed. It woke alone, and it kept fighting. That's why it's still active. That's why it attacks anything it sees. Alara stepped back. It's still fighting a war that ended long ago. The chamber suddenly darkened. Then lights shifted to a sharp red glow. The holograms vanished. The turrets hidden along the edges of the chamber slid out at once, locking onto the humans. Ren shouted, "It's trying to trap us." Alara raised her weapon. "Talon, shut the doors." Talon sprinted to a nearby console, sparks flying as he connected wires from his toolkit. "Buying time. Keep those turrets off me." Leora fired a pulse shot at one turret, not enough to destroy it but enough to force it to recalibrate. Ren did the same, adding to the distraction, but the turrets adapted quickly, tracking faster with each second. Alara rolled behind a pillar, counting the rhythm of turret bursts. She waited for the half-second pause between shots. "Now!" she yelled. All three humans fired simultaneously, forcing the turrets to angle upward for a moment. That tiny moment was enough. Talon slammed his hand on the console. The doors sealed shut with a heavy clang, separating them from the rest of the corridor. The turrets went silent. Everyone panted heavily, adrenaline racing through their veins. Alara looked around. "Good work. Now can we disable this thing?" Leora approached the floating power core again. It pulsed with deep blue light, almost like a heartbeat. She studied the patterns, running calculations in her head. "We can interrupt the cycle," she said slowly. "We can't destroy it. But we can force it into a dormant mode. It will think the ship is safe and stop attacking." "How long will the dormancy last?" Ren asked. "I don't know. Hours, days, maybe longer. But it will give us time to study." Alara nodded. "Do it." Leora and Talon worked together, linking their tools into the glowing core. The light inside flickered, dimmed, then pulsed irregularly. The entire ship trembled as though resisting. Then everything went still. The red lights faded back into a soft, cold blue. The turrets folded away silently. The weight of danger lifted from the air. Ren exhaled. It worked. I can't believe it. Alara touched the edge of the core gently. This ship fought until its very last breath. Even without life. It remembered duty. Leora studied Alara's expression. Captain, what happens now? Alara turned toward her team, fire in her eyes. Now, we learn everything we can. This ship holds knowledge that humanity has never seen. And if we understand it, we'll be stronger because of it. We survived today. That proves we can match anything in this galaxy. Even the ghosts of ancient wars. They made their way back to the airlock carefully, scanning every corridor to ensure nothing had reactivated. The ship remained quiet this time. Almost peaceful. When they stepped back onto the Aurora, the crew waiting there erupted in relief. Alara removed her helmet, taking a deep breath of familiar air. She felt tired yet exhilarated. The next steps would be difficult. But humanity never backed away from a challenge, and now they stood on the edge of something extraordinary. In the nebula outside, the ancient ship floated quietly, its cannons finally at rest. For the first time in perhaps thousands of years, it no longer felt the need to defend, and inside the Aurora, the humans began preparing for the discoveries that awaited them. They had awakened a ghost, survived its tests, and now they were ready to uncover the truth behind the last war of a forgotten civilization. The derelict alien vessel loomed in the nebula like a silent sentinel, its massive hull casting shadows across the Aurora. The humans had spent days analyzing its systems, discovering patterns in the way its automated defenses activated. Each experiment revealed just how advanced the technology was, but also highlighted a flaw, something no alien had foreseen. Humans were unpredictable. They could think beyond algorithms, improvise, and adapt in ways the ship's AI could not anticipate. Captain Alara studied the main console aboard the Aurora, her eyes scanning the holographic data streams projected in front of her. The logs they had salvaged from the alien ship were dense and complex, written in a language only partially deciphered by Dr. Leora. The ship's AI isn't alive in the way we think, she explained to Ren and Leora. It's a machine, yes, but one designed to anticipate battle in real time. It calculates, predicts, reacts, but it doesn't expect the unexpected. Ren nodded, rubbing his chin. Which means if we act in ways it can't predict, we have a chance. But it won't be easy. One wrong move, and we could be blown apart before we even reach the control room again. Dr. Leora's fingers traced patterns on the console. The alien logs mentioned strategies, battle formations, even training protocols for the crew. They were obsessed with perfection. But perfection assumes rules. Humans don't follow rules the way they expect. Alara exhaled. Then we make our own rules. We fight on our terms. The plan they devised was risky. The Aurora would approach the derelict again. But this time, they would use the ship itself as a shield, drawing the alien vessel's fire toward empty sections of space. Small drones, loaded with electromagnetic pulse devices, would disrupt the ship's sensors at key intervals, allowing a boarding team to slip inside undetected. It was a gamble, but Alara knew that survival in space always demanded risk. The Aurora edged closer to the massive vessel, the nebula's gases swirling around them in vibrant colors. The alien ship's turrets pivoted, tracking their movement with uncanny precision. Alara gritted her teeth. Steady. Wait for the right moment. As they reached a safe distance, the drones launched silently, weaving through the void toward the alien ship. Small sparks of light erupted as the EMP devices activated, causing the vessel's sensors to flicker and stutter. The team held their breath, watching for any sign that the AI had adapted to their tactics. For a moment, it seemed as if nothing had changed. Then, a turret fired, narrowly missing a drone and spinning erratically. The humans exhaled. They had a small opening. The boarding team, led by Lieutenant Ren, maneuvered their shuttle toward a side hatch that had been identified as a weak point. The alien ship's systems reacted slowly, and for the first time, the humans felt a surge of hope. They docked and entered, moving with precision and caution. Inside, The corridors were eerily quiet. The lights flickered, casting shadows that seemed to stretch and twist along the walls. The air smelled faintly metallic, and every step echoed ominously. The team advanced, their sensors alert for any sign of automated defenses. Dr. Leora studied the panels along the walls. The systems here are ancient, but they're adaptive. They adjust based on threat assessment. Every move we make changes the way the ship responds. We have to be unpredictable, Ren nodded. Which we are. Stay alert. As they progressed deeper, they encountered the first major obstacle, a series of automated defense drones, their designs unlike anything the humans had seen. Sleek, angular machines with glowing sensors hovered silently, scanning the corridors. One moved toward them, its mechanical arms poised to strike. Don't engage directly, Ren whispered. We lure it away. Using reflective panels from the ship's maintenance equipment, the humans created false signals, tricking the drone into following phantom targets. It moved with precision, but not fast enough to avoid being temporarily disabled by a pulse from their handheld devices. The team pressed on. Heartbeats quickened. Adrenaline pumping. Finally, they reached the core chamber, the heart of the alien vessel. Here, the systems controlling the weapons, navigation, and life support converged in a network of glowing conduits and floating holographic displays. The humans paused, taking in the scale of what they faced. This is it, Alara said through the comms. We either disable it, or it disables us. Dr. Leora began interfacing with the controls, carefully analyzing the alien logic and attempting to override the automated defenses. Sparks flew as energy systems hummed and pulsed around them. For a tense few minutes, it seemed as if nothing would work. Then, a breakthrough. Leora found a backdoor in the AI's network. A series of commands the original programmers had left for maintenance purposes. It was fragile, temporary, but enough to give them leverage. Ren covered her, watching the corridors and alert for any sign of the defense drones reactivating. Hurry, Leora, he urged. We don't have much time. The alien vessel shuddered as systems began to shut down, its weapons lowering slightly as the overrides took effect. The humans held their ground, pushing forward through the network interface, carefully manipulating the AI's commands. Each adjustment had to be precise too much, and the ship could retaliate. Too little, and it could recover. Finally, the main control panel accepted their input. The turrets ceased tracking. The targeting systems blinked, and a silence fell over the ship. The derelict, once a predator in the void, now drifted inert, its ghostly vigilance neutralized for the moment. The team breathed heavily, relief washing over them. We did it, Ren said, a smile breaking through his exhaustion. We actually did it. Alara, though, remained cautious. Temporarily, she corrected. The ship is still operational. We've only bought ourselves time. We need to understand it, learn from it, or it will be a threat again. Dr. Leora nodded, scanning the logs and interfaces. This AI is unlike anything human-made. It's intelligent in a way that simulates life, anticipates threats, and adapts. But it doesn't understand chaos, human unpredictability. That's our advantage. As the team prepared to return to the Aurora, they noticed something unexpected. Subtle changes in the alien vessel's internal environment. Lights dimmed and brightened in patterns that seemed almost communicative. The ship's hull vibrated faintly, like a heartbeat. It was as if the derelict recognized the humans had entered its domain and had awakened in response. Alara felt a shiver run down her spine. It's learning, she said quietly. Not just defending. Learning. Back aboard the Aurora, the crew regrouped. The analysis of the alien ship revealed fragments of its history, conflicts spanning centuries, strategic innovations, and hints of a civilization that had pushed the boundaries of technology and warfare. Yet the logs also revealed their downfall. Pride, rigidity, and obsession with perfection had left the alien species vulnerable. The humans understood something crucial. Adaptability, Creativity and teamwork were the ultimate weapons. Ilara looked out at the nebula, the ancient vessel floating silently among the stars. "We've seen what they left behind," she said. "Now we must decide how to use it. Knowledge is power, but only if we are brave enough to wield it." Ren leaned against the railing, tired but alert. "Do you think it will attack again?" Ilara's gaze remained steady. "Perhaps, but if it does, we will be ready. We've survived because we think differently, because we act where it cannot. That's what makes us human." The crew spent the night analyzing the alien technology, preparing for the next encounter. Every member understood that this was more than a salvage mission. It was a test, a chance to measure human ingenuity against the ghost of a dead civilization. And for the first time in weeks, there was a sense of hope. In the silent stretches of space, the derelict vessel waited. Its cannons were silent, its systems stabilized, but it had not forgotten. Every flicker of energy, every subtle vibration within its hull, hinted at awareness, a remnant of intelligence that had once commanded entire fleets. The humans had survived by thinking beyond patterns, by exploiting flaws in the machine's logic, and that realization fueled them. Ilara stood in the observation deck, staring at the derelict. "We've learned its weaknesses," she whispered. "Now it's our turn to teach it something it will never expect." The Aurora prepared to withdraw to a safe distance, but the crew knew this was far from over. The alien vessel was still a formidable presence in the nebula, and every moment of calm could be a prelude to renewed conflict. The human mind, however, was a force the ship could not easily calculate. Adaptability, courage, and creativity would continue to guide them. As the stars shimmered around them, humanity once again proved a simple truth. Even in the face of machines built to outthink and outfight, human ingenuity could find a path to victory. And in the silence of space, the lesson of the ancient vessel became clear. Survival favored those willing to adapt, to think beyond rules, and to embrace the unexpected. The humans knew the next encounter would test them further, but they were ready. They had faced the ghost of a civilization, outwitted a machine designed to be unstoppable, and emerged stronger. And as the Aurora moved through the nebula, the crew carried with them a growing confidence, a certainty that humanity, with all its flaws and unpredictability, could endure anything the universe threw at it. The ancient vessel drifted silently in the nebula, its massive form half hidden by the swirling clouds of gas and dust. From the observation deck of the Aurora, Captain Ilara stared at it with a mixture of awe and determination. The derelict's systems were dormant now, but she knew better than to trust complete silence. The ship's AI had already demonstrated its ability to anticipate human tactics, and while they had temporarily outwitted it, the lesson was clear. The ancient warship was patient, relentless, and still learning. "Status report," Ilara ordered, her eyes scanning the consoles in front of her. Lieutenant Wren, standing beside her, shook his head in disbelief. "We've stabilized the ship's systems, Captain. The overrides hold, but they're fragile. Any sudden movement could trigger the defenses again." "It's like walking on a knife edge." Dr. Leora leaned over a holographic display, her fingers tracing the complex network of the alien ship's systems. "We've accessed more of the ship's logs," she said. "There's a complete record of their battles, their strategies, even the philosophy behind their war. They believed strength alone was the key to survival. And yet, their civilization fell. Hubris, rigidity, overconfidence. The more I read, the more I realize that we're seeing both their power and their weakness." Ilara nodded slowly. "Which is exactly why we need to learn from it. Knowledge without action is useless. We take what we can, and we make sure humanity benefits from it." The crew prepared for another boarding mission, this time with a clear goal. Reach the central control core and secure the data before the ship could adapt or react. The corridors of the alien vessel had been partially mapped, but every journey inside was still dangerous. Automated defenses, though temporarily disabled, could awaken at any time. As the boarding shuttle approached the derelict, the humans noticed something new. The ship's interior lights pulsed rhythmically, almost like a heartbeat, guiding them toward the central core. It was subtle, almost imperceptible, but Leora noticed it immediately. "It's communicating," she whispered. "Not in words, but patterns. The AI is reacting to our presence, guiding us, or maybe testing us." Ren tightened his grip on his sidearm. "Guiding us? Or luring us into a trap?" Ilara's jaw set. "Either way, we go. Keep your wits about you. Adapt, improvise, survive." Inside the alien ship, the corridors seemed to shift slightly with each step. Holographic interfaces flickered to life, displaying alien text and star charts that none of the humans fully understood. Yet patterns began to emerge, hints of logic and strategy buried in the chaotic visuals. Every panel, every control surface, seemed designed to challenge the mind and test the operator. As they advanced, a low hum resonated through the ship. The sound was deep, almost alive, vibrating through the hull and echoing in their suits. The team paused, exchanging uneasy glances. "It's aware," Ilara said quietly. "Not conscious like us, but aware. It knows we're here." Finally, they reached the central core. The room was enormous, far larger than the shuttle's sensors had suggested, and dominated by a massive holographic interface. Streams of alien code flowed like liquid light, intertwining with symbols and schematics. The ship's AI, once a silent predator, now pulsed with a strange energy, almost welcoming or challenging the humans to interact. Dr. Leora approached the interface cautiously. "If we can integrate our commands here, we can stabilize the AI completely. Not destroy it, not deactivate it, but control it enough to safely extract knowledge." Ren kept watch at the entrance, eyes scanning for any sign of automated defenses reactivating. "Do it, Leora, but move carefully. We can't risk a sudden attack." For hours, Leora worked, her mind matching wits with the alien system. Slowly, she decoded the logic behind its decision-making. The AI was built to prioritize defense, predict enemy actions, and preserve the ship at all costs. But it had no understanding of human improvisation, our willingness to take risks, to act unpredictably, to break patterns intentionally. Using that insight, she manipulated the system, creating safe channels for the humans to move and access the ship's knowledge. As she interfaced with the AI, a new discovery emerged. The ship contained not only battle strategies, but also records of alien science, technology, and philosophy. The civilization that built this vessel had reached unimaginable heights, yet their obsession with war and perfection had blinded them to other possibilities. Leora's voice was barely a whisper as she read aloud, translating fragments of the alien logs. They believed that strength alone would ensure survival. They documented everything: how to build fleets, how to fight wars, but they never considered adaptability, flexibility, creativity. Those things, they failed to see the value of. Ilara's gaze hardened. "And that is why humanity survives where they did not. We adapt. We improvise. We find solutions where none seem possible." Suddenly, a tremor ran through the ship. The AI reacted, as if testing its strength against theirs. Turrets along the walls powered briefly, their barrels rotating to track the humans' positions. But Leora had anticipated this. Using the ship's own patterns against it, she created diversions, feeding false inputs into the AI's logic. The turrets moved predictably toward phantom threats, and the team pressed forward, unharmed. Hours passed in tense silence, punctuated by bursts of energy as the humans navigated the vessel. Every step brought them closer to the main database, a repository of alien knowledge that could redefine humanity's understanding of technology, space, and survival. Finally, they reached the heart of the ship's network, a massive, crystalline interface pulsed with energy, the alien equivalent of a central computer core. Leora began the extraction process, carefully transferring the data to the Aurora's systems. The process was slow, delicate, and fraught with risk. Any misstep could trigger the AI's defenses. As the transfer progressed, the ship reacted once more. Lights flashed. Corridors shifted. and holographic images of alien fleets appeared, moving as if alive. The AI was testing them, probing for weaknesses, trying to predict human behavior. But humans, unlike machines, did not always act logically. They made choices based on intuition, emotion, and creativity. Using those qualities, they navigated the tests the ship presented. After what felt like an eternity, the data transfer completed. The humans stepped back, exhaustion and relief washing over them. The ancient vessel was now pacified, its systems stable, and its knowledge secure. They had survived the most dangerous encounter of their lives, not through brute force, but through ingenuity, adaptability, and teamwork. Elara took a deep breath, her eyes on the derelict vessel. "We've learned its secrets," she said. "We've faced the ghost of a civilization that thought itself invincible, and we survived. Humanity has proven again that intelligence, creativity, and courage are stronger than perfection without adaptability." The crew returned to the Aurora, carrying the knowledge that could transform their understanding of technology, warfare, and the universe itself. The ancient vessel drifted silently, its AI now dormant but intact, a monument to both brilliance and hubris. It had been a test, and humanity had passed. In the following days, the crew studied the alien data. They learned how the vessel had been designed to outthink enemies, to coordinate fleets, and to predict threats with near-perfect accuracy. Yet they also discovered the mistakes that had led to the alien civilization's downfall: rigid thinking, over-reliance on systems, and the inability to adapt to unexpected challenges. Humanity, with all its imperfections, had the very qualities the aliens lacked. Elara stood on the observation deck one evening, looking out at the nebula that had concealed the ancient vessel for centuries. The colors of the gas swirled around the ship like a cosmic dance, painting it in hues of orange, blue, and green. "We've faced something greater than ourselves," she said quietly, "and we've endured. Not because we are perfect, but because we are human. Unpredictable, creative, and resilient." Ren joined her, his expression thoughtful. "Do you think the ship will ever awaken fully? Could it pose a threat again?" Elara shook her head slowly. "If it does, we will be ready. We've learned from it, and that is what matters. Knowledge is power, but only when we apply it. And humanity will always adapt, always find a way, because we think beyond what is programmed, beyond what is expected. That is our advantage. That is why we survive." Thanks for watching. The nebula shifted as the Aurora prepared to depart. The ancient vessel remained behind, floating silently, a reminder of what once was and what could have been. It was a ghost of a civilization that reached for the stars and fell, a warning etched in metal and energy. Humanity, however, carried forward, stronger for the experience. As the starship moved into the emptiness beyond the nebula, the crew reflected on what they had faced. They had encountered a machine designed to anticipate and dominate, yet they had overcome it through ingenuity and collaboration. They had glimpsed the past of an alien civilization and learned lessons that would shape the future. And they had proven, once again, that humans could endure, adapt, and thrive where others had failed. Elara watched the stars stretch into lines as the engines engaged for faster travel. "This is only the beginning," she said. "The universe is vast, and there will be other challenges. But humanity has faced the impossible before, and we will do so again. Adaptability, courage, and intelligence are our weapons. That is what sets us apart." The derelict ship, a silent sentinel in the nebula, remained as a monument to both achievement and caution. Humanity had faced a ghost, turned its strengths against it, and emerged victorious not through raw power, but through thought, creativity, and resilience. It was a lesson they would carry forever. The universe favored those who could adapt, and no machine, no matter how advanced, could outthink the human spirit. As the Aurora ventured further into the stars, Captain Elara and her crew knew that the lessons of the ancient vessel would guide them for years to come. Humanity had survived once more, proving that in a galaxy of wonders and dangers, the ingenuity and determination of humans were the greatest force of all.